Folks, welcome back to the Pulse. It is 2 o'clock Central Texas time, and live from the retirement home, you are going to get a chance to chat with the captain. Actually, I'm going to get that chance. But first, I wanted to say thank you for joining us. This is a pleasure and honor. And actually, surprisingly, after 557 videos later, I actually haven't done this with him on my channel. And so I want you to see something as context. The first time a very nervous crypto heartbeat met the Captain RG3. Okay. Now you have to understand something. As someone who came into this hex community and didn't know what was, up or down, this guy said, you know what? Come on to chat with the captain. This was a long time ago. But what's interesting is he thought I was, I think, kind of a square. But I want you to see how he baptized me into the community. Okay. This is how I was welcomed into the Hex community by the captain himself. Check this out.
Ahoy, you crypto pussies. Welcome to your... Thank you, hon, for the coffee. I'm going to need it. Appreciate it. Welcome to your discourse episode of gynecological help. My goodness, I haven't seen more sore vag ever. Not since the 2007 AVN Porn Awards have I seen this much sore vag.
That was my introduction to the Captain RG3. And folks, I'm going to tell you what, it has been smooth sailing since. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for the first time on the Pulse, Crypto Heartbeat, the Captain RG3. Oh, Captain, my Captain, welcome. That was the OG.
I'm mortified.
What's up, buddy?
What's happening, dude?
Dude, it's so great to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me. Oh, boy. I didn't have you on that show, did I?
Yes, you did. That was it. What was so fascinating is I guess there was some crazy stuff going on in the community, and you had to give them a little talking to before you brought me on.
Yeah, boy, what a baptism of fire, huh?
Yeah,
wow.
It was awesome though. No, that's I so appreciate you, and I'm just so thankful. Here we are years later, and
yeah,
we tried to do this a while back, and I'm just so it's so cool to do it today, because partly today it's like we finally saw some light, I guess, just kind of cracking through the window here in the market. How are you feeling? I feel like people have got a little bit of a pep in their step.
Well, I've been really watching the Bitcoin movements out there right now, and that's what's got me fired up is seeing the space start to move, and it's not, obviously we're seeing a little pump here, not a little one. It's actually pretty significant, but it's the OTC stuff that I'm seeing going on. There's a lot of big Bitcoin moves, and that just tells me that all these rumors about the the institutional money moving around over there is, true, and it's happening. I haven't seen a super significant amount. I mean, we're seeing billions move every day.
Yeah.
And that's good. Hasn't been happening for months and months and months. And now all of a sudden we're seeing, $1, $2, $3 billion moves in one day. So that's telling me that the institutional money's moving. But if they're bringing in somewhere between, they're talking about pumping this market, 6 to 15 trillion. I've heard numbers from, both of those ranges. And that means that we still could see some kind of a shakeout here. Maybe they bring, a couple trillion in and then they shake out. Until I see 2 or 3 trillion clear and we're pumping hard and things are moving, then I'll be like, okay, bull market's completely in. But it is the priming of the pump now.
Yeah.
It is the priming of the pump.
Well, I'm glad we hear it from you first. You're a man of the people. I just have to tell you this. I probably told you this before, but when I first got into this whole streaming thing, all I had watched was, a handful of guys, you and Hexo. And I remember I was on a stream one time and I said early days. And I said, I was complimenting Richard on building the community. and everybody in the chat basically stomped on my neck and they said, Richard didn't build the community, RG3 built the community. And they stomped on my head. And I will never forget that. How does it feel to you? You know, you get to look at this from a lot of different perspectives over quite a bit of time, and it's taken on many different appearances and it's gone through many, many difficult times. Look at what you've built, man. And I know you're not going to take credit for building the whole thing, but this is a big part of your efforts. How do you feel these days looking at what has been created here?
It is one of the most surreal and proud moments in my life. I mean, I'm 56 years old. I've had a lot of things. I've got kids, you know, the whole thing, and kids in college, and I'm proud of a lot of things. But this is one of those things where, you know, it's one thing to look at the community and go, man, bunch of cool people doing some cool stuff. You know, it's big and we're having fun and all this and whatnot. But it's another thing to think that, you know, when I first read the Satoshi white paper and I first wrapped my head around what the cypherpunk movement was about, and, you know, and I was a working class guy, and I was looking for something that would change my fate, you know, because I was putting my boots on every morning at 0 dark 30 and coming home in the dark, taking those greasy boots off, you know, and not getting ahead. And then when I read that white paper and I saw the cypherpunk movement, and I said, man, this is something that can, you know, really change the world. And I saw, you know, and through my experiences, I learned about networking and the Metcalfe's law and building communities and those kinds of things, and applied them and was successful at it. So I knew that crypto needed the communities behind it because it needed a story to be told. It needed faces behind the crypto. There was no company, there was no marketing techniques that were going to work. It was going to have to be grassroots, community developed movement that moves this thing into the world and gets adoption and all that, and breaks through the banks and breaks through the governments and breaks through all the FUD and everything else that's going to come at it. And so I knew a strong community was necessary. And, you know, being able to look at it from that angle and go, okay, I've got skills. I've got the know-how to do this. I've been made for this.
Yep.
I got the passion for it because of my lifetime of work, and I want this thing to succeed. So let's just go out there and do it and see what happens. And as it started to pick up traction, and as it started to unfold like it did, you know, I would have it no other way. You know, we were just aided. You name whatever kind of aided you want to call it, we were aided. And that's what the Hexicans were. And death threats and you name it came at us, you know, other meme coins and, you know, gurus that were against us, and lawyers and SEC and everything else. But I would have it no other way, because that forged this community and gave it a foundation that I think that it deserves, that it needed. May not have been what we wanted. We might have wanted an easier, softer way. But that's not how it came to us. Yeah. And I like being able to crawl out of the freaking dust and the smoke from the fire that they flamed us in. You know, it just feels good to have it like it is and be part of it. So, yeah.
Well, you know, you talk about, you know, being aided from so many different, you know, perspectives. And you also said, you know, you were created to do this. You know, I've paid attention to you for quite some time. And what's so interesting is where, you know, experience meets this opportunity. And you've built teams before. You were on teams, or obviously in the military and the Marines, but also in your business work. Like, how much of your life, when you look back at it and you realize it's almost like you have been literally guided this path. It's almost like you fought the lion and the bear, preparing you for this building of community. Because I look back at your team building in the past, and you were really successful in building community prior to Hex.
Yeah. You know, I was a diamond level network marketer in a couple of different companies. And, you know, the pattern that I saw was, okay, I know how to go out there. I know how to rally the troops. I know how to get behind people. I know how to bucket fill and do all the things that make a team work, and manage and just get out in front of it and be the be the visionary and do all those things, and then put good people around me that manage well. And when I applied that and it was successful, I was like, great. But every time my trip up was the company that was supporting me or the product that was supporting me.
Yep.
And it was always them that sold out on me or pulled the rug out from under it or whatever. And it was really discouraging. But it was forging me again. I was being forged in this fire again in a different realm. And so when I got here and I saw what Richard had done with Hex, and I knew that he had created the crypto of all cryptos. Like, Hex is better than Bitcoin. I'm going to say that on every stream, and every time I get on a microphone or whatever, I am going to tell everybody that Hex is better than Bitcoin, because it is. And when we realized that, I said, okay, the reason that all the other communities have failed is because the cryptos have failed them, not because the communities have failed. There's a lot of strong people out there in the crypto space still. They just don't have a crypto behind them. There's either a promise coin or a rug pull or dilapidated technology like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Richard finally put something behind us that a community could get out in front of and go and build and develop, and it's not going to fail. It's code. It's immutable. It's never going to go away. It's never going to change. It's always going to be better than Bitcoin. And that means all we have, and we as a community have failed a lot of times already, but we're still here, and we're still the most vibrant, loud, out in front community that there is. So, it's all a testament to what Richard Hart built. It's all a testament to his products.
So I will say this, I'm not sitting with Richard Hart. I'm sitting with the captain, right? You are the quintessential captain of this group. And I think it's important to have leadership, because leadership matters so much. And it is no small feat. I'm very well aware building diamond level teams is not easy to do. And I've been a part of those things, and I know what it takes, and it's rare. Okay. So that's number one. But two, I had a storytelling class years ago, and it said, once you realize that this story you're writing is about you, things will start advancing. And here's what I want to say to you, because it's a huge compliment to you. I think about just who I saw at the beginning. I saw you and I saw Hexo, right? That's where I spent most of my time. That's how I got introduced to things. And here's the thing that's interesting. Richard Hart created a great product, and he also resonated with you as a personality. I agree. But there's something about your persona and Hexo and the genuine nature of what I saw, which was, these are not, silver spoon, Wall Street guys who, daddy was a hedge fund manager. I saw guys who went through tough times and said, hey, there's a possibility for hope in the future. And it was to me, an underdog story with really genuine people that I could relate to. And I think when I look across the Hexagon community and the people that I've met, it's actually, in my opinion, an extension of what you and those core group of guys at the beginning did. And in a way, you've attracted like-minded people. And to me, that's what makes this community so beautiful. It's actually an extension of you, of Hexo, of that group. It's an amalgamation of that, and certainly Richard Hart. But, I just want to apologize for not appropriately assigning the credit where credit is due.
Well, I appreciate it, and I get yelled at or bitched at by my team for self-deprecating so much. But I've always just tried to stay very humble and I operate better from the underdog position. I operate better from the ground, from the mud, from, let me go take the hill kind of thing, from the lower position. That's what keeps me driven. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me, I've always got to be winning, not one, but winning, just keep winning, keep fighting. And so sometimes I don't take the credit for, what we have done, but my team and the things that I've done, we've done a lot of work, and we sacrificed a lot. From monetarily to my family's time, to my own health. You know, my own sleep deprivation, everything that I've done, you know, the stress, you know, and then, you know, leaving and retiring to go and do all of this full time and get even more involved. And then the market falling out from underneath all of us, you know, it's like, okay, we're going to be all right here. And I mean, of course we've prepared and even for the worst, and we're good. Now the bull market's coming back, but yeah, there was a lot of sacrifice, and it was a lot of work, and there was a very low reward, other than, you know, what Richard Hart has handed to us, which is Hex, and the residual effect of all this work is that we do have a strong, vibrant community, and it is helping to pump our bags. And so therefore the residual effect of going out and helping people is our bags are getting pumped.
Yep.
You know, so that's, you know, if we keep doing this, if we keep building the community, if we keep getting it out there, and we keep drawing in stronger and better community members, then, you know, there's nowhere but our bags to go but up.
Yeah.
So,
well, Richard,
and I always like that one saying, you know, and you'll understand it. It's, and, you know, and I'm not a big Bible verse guy or anything, but to whom much is given, much is expected. You know, that's kind of my mantra. And you know, I want to go out there and give back to what's been given to me.
Yeah. Well, I think the authenticity and humility in that is really attractive, and it's not, you know, this isn't a show. That's what I see. I mean, we got this, you know, kind of pirate narrative, but that's what I think people see through, is they see, wow, genuine people. And that's the thing that I really appreciate so much about it. But, you know, what's amazing is from these, you know, beginnings of, you know, you guys seeing Richard and the genius of that. And, you know, Richard's played a huge role in communicating, and, you know, we know how much respect we have for him, but things have changed, right? We now have ourselves a layer 1, right? A launched pulse chain after a long wait. But also I feel like, and it's really weird to me, it's almost like Richard saw the future. And I remember when we first were, you know, the reason I got into streaming was because Richard said he was going to fork Ethereum. And I'm like, I see all these guys in Hex. I saw a 25X. I didn't see a 3000X. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to miss this one. And so when I got involved in streaming and saw what was coming, you know, we had this, you know, let's sacrifice for freedom of speech. At that time, it wasn't as big of a topic as it is now. And then this whole freedom of movement stuff, and with the Charlie 19, tell me how you see it's almost as if Richard is living in the future and saw these things coming. But how important do you think, with the pulse chain and the tour that you're doing and all this, how critical is it for us to have this infrastructure and this leader who's not going to compromise his principles to defend the true tenets of DeFi, freedom and sovereignty, these things that he's defending that are so core to like human civilization? It's crazy. And he saw that before we did.
Yeah. When he started with that narrative, my mind went, I'm like, okay, he's deeper than we even imagine, because I one of Richard's old streams, he was talking about his video gaming history, because he was addicted to video games, and he played this video game, I believe it was called StarCraft. And I had a friend that played the original StarCraft, which was with dice and stuff, and he was a super genius. I had this buddy that was just insane, crazy smart, and he was at the higher levels of this game. But then when I heard what Richard had done with that game, I'm like, holy smokes, Richard like mastered that game 4, 5, 8 times, like, you know, just, and it's like multiple dimensional chess, you know, it's an insane game. So that told me of what type of a mind he had, you know, that he was just like 100 steps ahead of everything. So he did see into the future. He had an ability to step things off and figure out where they were going. And when we first got into Hex, and we kind of thought that about Richard, like, man, this guy called the top, because he calls the top of Bitcoin in 17, right? Yeah. And that's what makes us all a little intrigued by this guy. And then as Hex was being developed, he was calling all of these shots, you know, and it was like, man, this guy's always 3 steps ahead. So we would be thinking this, and he was already thinking 3 steps ahead of everything. So, you know, knowing that about him, and then seeing him position this and turn the vernacular into, hey, I've got true DeFi here, and now you have it in your hands, and you better go out and fight for its freedom, because they're going to come at it, because this is real now. Because it just got real. Like the saying is, shit just got real. When he launched Pulse Chain, and we have Hex, Pulse Chain, and Pulse X, that's it, man. They just got gamed. The whole space got gamed. The governments got gamed. The banks got gamed. That's what we have, the tiger by the tail, those of us who are in this right now. I mean, and we've got to fight for it. I'm so glad that the campaign that we've put out there to help Richard get, these not signatures, but the comments has we put so many comments out there with the AI and the gentlemen that all made the AI tools, that they extended it because we were commenting so much. So the SEC allowed it to be extended or whatever, or the IRS and the SEC allowed it to be extended. So that's a testament to what the community's doing. And we're going in the right direction. We're doing the right things. We're going in the right direction.
Well, to me, when you look back at this and you see all of these things that would have had to come together, I think a lot of Hexicans, they take it for granted. When you actually look at what had to transpire, because think about this, there's so many different tokens, and especially at that time, it was the bottom of the bear. For somebody to come out with such a bold statement, and I watched all those videos of him saying, yeah, I'm building a better Bitcoin. I mean, just imagine what that was like at that time, stepping in front of all these people that just gotten wrecked and literally say, no, I'm going to do it better. And they're like, oh, really? And he was not joking. And I think what's really incredible about that is he's always stared that stuff in the face. But think about it. In order for this thing, he always talks about it, better logo, better this, better that, better product market fit. Well, what's amazing is, there's a certain genius in marketing, but there's also, some people call it luck. Some would call it divine intervention. I think because of the nature of the timing and then the criticism and then your character and I think a Hexo especially, just his winsomeness, it was like divinely appointed, because you couldn't construct it if you tried. And here we are again. It's continuing, though. That's the thing that's weird. A lot of times it's kind of a one-hit wonder. Hey, we got this thing. What's amazing to me is this has continued to play out. And in this challenge of watching our hero, Richard, try to go and get the ring, get the glory. And he's not going to attain that, because then the story's over. And to think that we've got one thing after another of challenge is actually the greatest benefit to this community. Do you see it that way? I mean, I totally do.
So let me go back to the beginning of what your statement. You said something that made me think that you and I can expound upon it and kind of put a validation on. You said Richard was in the face of the whole space out there, saying he's going to think about it for a minute. Look at the whole space with your experience and my experience in life. Look at the whole space. Who do you see out there that's worth their salt in building anything or managing anything or leading anything? They've got zero leadership out there. Yeah. They've got zero integrity, tenacity. They don't have it. I didn't see it out there. I never saw it out there anywhere. And then when I saw Richard, I saw leadership in him. I saw mastermind in him. I saw confidence. I saw somebody who had built businesses and worked businesses and sold them. And I could just tell that's the kind of guy he was. I don't see that in Hoskinson. I don't see that in Mashinsky. I don't see that in Sam Bankman-Fried. I never saw any of that in those guys. They were all paper tigers to me. Richard was the real deal. And now as this thing, as he's, and like you said, he attracted like, when I saw Richard and with the experience I've had in life and the management and the teams that I've built, I said, this is the kind of guy that I can hook my buggy to. Yep. And then I saw Hexo and how genuine he was and he was a Marine. And I said, this guy too, we've got some good folks here, and then Crypto Coffee and Dollar Cost and Kinetics. And we just started attracting everyone, and now look at Brandon and all these other people coming to the table, yourself. I mean, we're gathering the best in crypto.
Yeah.
And and I loved it when Brandon Rags gotten into a tiff with what's his name, our troll.
Yeah.
And he called us all trailer park trash.
Yeah.
We're all trailer park trash, and he snubbed his nose at us. And I've met Eric, and he's not a bad guy. He's just a professional troll.
Yeah.
That thinks he knows more than he does, and he's wet behind the ears still, and all that kind of stuff. He's a pleb in life. But Brandon schooled him and said, no, these you don't get it. We're gathering the smartest people in crypto.
Yep.
They see what Richard has done, and that's what's created this community, is that Richard Hart has attracted the best of the best, and it's just going to keep getting better and better, because like is going to attract like. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's a miracle in my opinion. But you make that point about, you look out into the landscape of those who are out there, and you and I know this well, right? You've been at the you know how to sell, right? You know how to communicate, you know how to connect with people, you know how to make people feel comfortable. I mean, you and I, if we're leading a company, are never putting the engineers or the devs in front of clients. I mean, what I think is really unique is Richard has such a unique number of strengths that most people don't have, right? And I look at him as, he's an advocate for people, right? He understands the human condition, writes these self-help books. He understands, kind of the human psychology piece of it, but he also is deep enough to understand when somebody's blowing smoke up his butt about dev stuff. But then he understands marketing and actually has a heart for people to not get wrecked, right? So there's this thing that's almost like, he is a man of heart. And I think, it's so true. But I've always felt like great leaders, nobody cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. Now, it's not like Richard hasn't tripped and fallen, but I think what's amazing is I've never doubted the fact that he actually genuinely wanted to protect people. And that's something that, others don't have. I don't see the advocate. And it's just, to me, it's the next phase of this new financial system, is that it always goes in somebody that's a better marketer, a better, understander of psychology is going to do way better than devs and engineers. And so I think it's such a great match. But now, I mean, this pump has well been primed. And to me, that's what's so exciting about our future is we cannot compromise our principles. I know Richard won't, and we can't, but we do. We have a tiger by the tail.
Yeah, we got the tiger by the tail on this one, man. And it's going to be neat to watch it unfold from here. When Richard went away, that's when I realized how strong the community really was. I mean, we had our people that got upset about it, and the bear market shattered a lot of people's hopes and dreams and pushed them off to the winds, and a lot of them will be back. But the core of the community and the work that's being done behind the scenes, and everybody's still coming together and doing what they're doing, hasn't changed. And the products haven't changed. And, when Richard does come back, it's gonna be, I'm sure it's gonna be kind of like a catalyst that kind of, strengthens the community and pushes us all back out into the, I think that what we're going to see is the whole crypto space start to flip as far as the popularity goes with hex streamers versus the regular crypto streamers, because we're going to have DeFi. I mean, nobody else is going to have what we've got. And once that's discovered, man, it's going to be insane.
Well, I think we're seeing it with Somi. I think we're seeing it with coffee. I think we're seeing it happen. And, at the end of the day, what's going to be performing, the very nature of having a layer one with this kind of community, and to have something like PLS that is so low, I can't stop thinking about Hart's Law and how significant it is when you pair yourself with something that might go up 10,000x like Pulse. I mean, just what it does to the associated tokens in that ecosystem can be tremendous. And that's the thing, you go from 10,000x of in 623 days, and this great story about Hex, and it's like, you have no idea what this gift is, even though it was built for hacks, what it's going to do for those that are, building and associated with this. I mean, and then you add on to it the fact that the world and everyone else is going to compromise. We're going to see mainstream crypto. We're going to see CBDCs. I mean, there's going to be no alternative that doesn't compromise its principles except the pulse chain in this community. And I think that that's the thing. It's just like, it's funny. It's almost like you hear a song for the first time. You're like, man, that you hear that new band and you're like, the Captain's been doing this for 15 years. This isn't a new band.
I know. I listened to, but they're definitely, better at their delivery. Like Somi is just,
oh my God,
incredible. His delivery is just so freaking awesome. But he's not saying anything that we haven't already said or discovered. It's like, no, man, I figured that out 4 years ago, man. It's not new stuff. That's my shtick. But they're so much better. And that was what I said. They're going to get so good at this. The streamers are going to get much better than us, and they're going to come and they're going to take it to the world. And that's, and I'm like, that's what I was hoping for. Like, finally take the torch and go, guys, go bring more, bring the masses, But one thing that I want to say that has really changed me, and it was something you said, and I was trying to articulate it and I didn't say it. It was about Richard and something that happened. And it was a realization that I came to, was that, you were talking about Richard and the type of person, his heart and everything and what he's doing. And just imagine, with his skills and with all the things look, he came up with Hart's Law because he figured it out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something he read somewhere else. He figured it out. Imagine the wealth and the lack of headaches he would have if he just went out and took his self and just went out there and made money in crypto and just wrecked crypto with his knowledge and trade and, and do all that stuff, make, garbage coins that rug pull. And he could have done all that stuff, and made a crap ton of money and walked away. But he didn't. He built the greatest crypto ever invented. And then he said, well, it needs to be better. So I'm going to build an L1 on top of it and give the whole crypto space DeFi. And so he's been working and he's been doing the good work for this space. And instead of taking what he knows and going and doing something nefarious with it, and that should be a testament to who Richard Hart is,
Yeah. Well, and it's the ultimate vindication. This is the story. I mean, I think it's the greatest story ever told, right? And it's this man who wants something that, in the process, he discovers something greater. And, to me, that's got longevity to it. And now that it's tied to what I see as the only alternative in this future, this dystopian potential future, is if we're going to transact anywhere that has privacy, that has freedom of speech, freedom of transaction, this is going to be it. I don't see anyone else saying we're going to build the ecosystem of freedom and sovereignty. I do not see anyone out there who has the leadership qualities or the desire to do it, because that's the real glory here. That's, in my opinion, is freeing the damn captives. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And bro, they're gonna let us run away with it.
Yeah, they are. And
they're gonna have to, because there is no founder like Richard. There is no community and leadership that's already been solidified and put in place like this community. And there is the biggest bull run that's ever been seen is at our doorstep. I mean, it's a perfect storm all around, and it's almost like there's no horse that can get in the race that can beat us. It's like we may as well just run this thing around on our own and just time it, because that's what's about to happen. There is no other founder or developer out there that's even looking at, trying to catch up with Hex.
Yeah.
Let alone the L1 that makes it run, on true DeFi, on a staking mechanism, proof of stake, the whole, it's all there already. It's done, and nobody's even looking at it.
What's so great though, to your credit, here you are, you're right about all these things, right? We see these things. I'm so excited about what this future looks like. The pump is appropriately, primed. There's, I'm having some issues with my camera here. I think you are as well.
We both are too. Yeah. I'm gonna flip mine off and back on. That's what I was told to do.
Yeah, that might help it. But yeah, I'm really I want to give you some credit here. You could, just like you said to him, he could have just, taken his money before crypto and just went onto an island. But the same thing is true for you. You decided to go and commit yourself to a ton of dates as it relates to this Million Pulse tour. And we're going to be meeting up here on Saturday, the 4th of November
Yeah.
in Austin. And last time we had a meetup in Austin, it was the biggest one. And we have this pump, which I think this could be one of the best, days that you've had. Why are you doing this? Why did you like, hey, I'm going to go out and, travel all over the country?
So I knew one of the things I know about building teams is that technology is awesome. It gives you access to different countries. It gives you access to more people, to bigger numbers, but it doesn't solidify relationships.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them real. It takes a high five, a handshake, and a hug to make it real. That conversation, eye to eye, person to person, that story being told from somebody on a stage that you're standing right there, feeling their energy. Something changes when human beings get in a room together, and we all have a common cause, and we're all connected together with this whole thing, and we're all 2D. But it changes when we get together. And that's the one thing that we've done is with the meetups and the things that, from the very first meetup that myself and I think it was Brissology, Dollar Cost Crypto, Yash Deep, myself, and there may have been one other person there, four or five of us. And from that moment on, every other meetup was just a solidification of the community and the relationships. And I've got lifelong friends now, and we will be friends no matter what. And when you're on and doing something together, and it's a common cause, and you're making money, and you're changing the world, I mean, the relationships have to be there, because you're gathering more and more of like that, like you said, that leadership, that those common bonds of people that are doing the same thing that you're doing at the level you're doing it at. And iron sharpens iron, and it just keeps going and keeps developing. So you have to have that human touch, that meetup,
Wow, dude. Well, I'm looking forward to visiting with you in person.
Yeah.
And thanking you, because here's the thing, you got to know this. I started October 1st, 2 years ago, right? So just over 2 years of doing this, and it literally has changed my life. And I did some amazing things, led companies, had 200 employees. I mean, I built some really big stuff. And I'll tell you, I'm most proud of and have the most fulfillment from these last 2 years, even though the majority of it has been in the bear market. And, I tell the story all the time about David Lee coming to my dad's funeral. I'm like, nobody from my high school came. No one came from my high school, but David Lee came from the Hexagon community.
Yeah, the Hexagon.
Isn't that incredible? Isn't it incredible? It's just like, this is the kind of stuff that people don't really talk about. There's tons of TA and all that, but I always want to emphasize the fact that, my first meetup in Austin, I went to Austin, I was a new streamer, and I walk in the door, and the Crypto Sparbuck guys are like, Crypto Heartbeat, it is so good to see you. And I'm like, this is crazy. My wife would never believe this, and I get in there, and a guy comes up to me, and he gets in my face, and I think he's going to say something about my stream, and he goes, I got more money than I know what to do with. That's his introduction to me. And you know what I heard him say? He didn't say it, but I heard him say, he's like, would you be my friend? That's what he was really saying.
Yeah.
He was really saying that. And you know what? I've heard that so many times from people. People don't realize how powerful the relationships are, because there's a lot of people that are really struggling. And if you're an adult, and especially a man, which is pretty much all of crypto, there's no place that you can have and build friendships that are real substantive ones. And so what's funny is I often say, I see better community in the Hexagon and Pulsicon community than I do at church. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
No, I know you're not kidding.
It's genuine.
I know you're not. It is genuine, heartfelt. The community has just been, and I've seen it, in the networking world. I've seen communities like this, but again, I've never seen a product get behind one like this and just keep driving it and letting it get stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's like, oh my gosh, This is not going to stop. The
No.
product is not going to go away. And this product won't just make one person's life better or a family's life better. This product can make the world better.
Yeah.
Like in every corner of the world, this is necessary. This is needed right now. You know, this financial crisis that the globe is going into needs this. And we've got a community just developing that's going to go out and take it to the world, because there's not going to no matter how big Hex gets, there's not going to be print ads and Super Bowl commercials. And, you know, we know all of these things don't work. It takes that story. It takes all of us online pushing out the information, telling it. It takes these in real life events. You know, we have to, it's the community that's going to do it. It's not going to be anything else.
Well, I think we have something in common here. I was an executive in 2 network marketing companies that failed. And what's interesting about it is I loved it and I hated it all at the same time. And I always said, you know what? I wish there was a product that you didn't have to sell. Right. I remember saying that, and I know you can relate to this.
Yes.
Because here's the thing. The beauty of Hex, the beauty of crypto, the beauty of DeFi is no middleman. And if there's anything that the network marketing space has, is everyone's in the middle. And I'm going to tell you what, it's like a match made in relationship heaven. Because what I loved about the community, the other side of it I hated, and it does not have any of what I hate in this community. Because here's the thing, the beauty of Hex is we don't sell anything. We do not sell anything. I can't buy it for you. All I can do is be your friend and love you and encourage you. And that's the best part of community. You have to do it all on your own. It's you in the contract. I don't push buttons for you. And to me, it's as if like all the things we loved about this network marketing thing came together with the perfect product because we didn't have to sell it.
Exactly.
Dude,
exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, from the beginning, and that's why I dove so deep in the community, because I knew that was the marketing arm, and it was so easy. It was like, oh my gosh, it's all of the fun and glory of building community and being part of that machine that was network marketing, and none of the bad stuff.
Yeah,
none of the pains, none of the worries, the fears, the doubts, none of that stuff was there. Yep. You know, and when I realized that Richard was the real deal, I was like, man, that's it. This thing he's pushed a button and started, and then he's adding stuff, and this is just too easy. It's too easy.
Well, let's chat on that. I'm gonna throw you a bit of a curveball and shift on this, and you'd probably expect this from me, but you know, one of the things I can't help but recognize is, and pardon my camera here, what I recognize is that you say it, hear people saying it all the time, that, you know, it's not like you chose this, it's like it chose you, right? All of these things in your life that kind of added up to this moment. I look at this and I go, I believe these things were created in advance for you to do. And what I see across the board is, even with Richard, I mean, with all of this, is that if I look at this from a spiritual perspective and I say, what would be, if you were literally going to transform this world, right? And you were going to say, all right, we got a problem in this world, and it is one of scarcity. It is one of destruction. It is one of lording and hoarding. And there's an opportunity to unify people in a common spirit that is in consideration of each other, which I think is a core tenet of my faith, right? This idea of considering others in addition to ourselves. And here we follow this guy who's like, hey man, don't pick up pennies in front of freight trains. You know, he's like, I'm going to advocate for you. Hey, don't get caught up in this. Be careful about this. Hey, watch out of the way. And you can see that. What I think is amazing is, do you think that it is possible that God is using the money and calling a group of people that he's going to use, that are going to literally take it and use the money as this carrot on the stick to literally go, I got to have the Lambo, I got to have this thing. And in the process of you chasing after this money is actually going to transform you into what he has planned all along. What do you think of that?
So I'll go deep with you on it.
All right.
So I'm a man of faith. My faith is, you know, my native culture, and our main tenet is everything is connected.
Yep.
That's our main tenet. So and it's just like exactly what you said. You said, thinking of the other man. And that's what that means is, hey, I'm connected to that, and that's connected to me, and it's connected to everything else. So how I act, my actions, my reactions, everything I do is affecting that. I affect the furthest star from me just by my mere breath.
That's right. So
how do we do things in a positive way that are going to affect everybody and everything in a good manner? And when you look at the woes of the world, like you said, the hoarding and lording, the woes of the world are financial. It's gotten so greedy, it's gotten so commercialized that, and I don't think there's anything new under the sun. I think that the world has always had this attitude. Now the world is smaller, so we all see the whole thing now. So we all think that it's worse than it is, I believe, because human nature hasn't changed. There's nothing new. There's just new tools.
Yep.
And I look at this tool here as one that flies in the face of everything that has been done, that changes it, that, flips the tables, whatever you want to call it. And that being, like you said, called to it and being used by it, by the energies that's bringing this to the world right now. I think that, I think the world has gone in cycles, and we had the dark ages and the Renaissance, and then we've had the industrial age and all the things that we've gone through. And I think we're getting ready to go through another one. In our culture, we say that's what exactly has happened over the last couple decades here, is that we're changing into a new realm, a new world, a new way of being. And we're seeing the old guard just gripping on to, power and the old ways and the things that they don't want to release, and it's mostly, you and I are both the X generation is, and the generation before us, they're kind of that old guard, still kind of holding on to the old ways, and they don't want to let it go, and they don't want to give it up to the young kids. And that's where I feel, I'm in between those generations, the younger generations that want to bring the 21st century to fruition, and the older generations that want to keep a hold of it. But I think that, you and I are in a unique position where we can see both sides. Our children are the ones that are going to change the world, and our parents are the ones that have been holding on to the destruction of it.
Yep.
And it's got to be released. The baton's got to be passed, and the tools have to be utilized. And, the internet has to be, and AI and all of these things have to be used for good.
Yep.
And so if we can get good people out in front of it and start to evangelize that, then, I think the world's got a chance. Everybody's afraid of this AI right now. I remember you and I both remember when calculators came out, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It was like, we couldn't even bring them to school. Like you weren't even allowed to bring a calculator. It was like illegal. Like there was going to be police.
The calculator watch. Remember the
calculator? Oh, and that came out. It was like, oh my gosh, now they can hide it. Oh no, you know. But now every child in from elementary school on uses a calculator. Why? Because they're doing more advanced math than we did.
Yeah. And
they need those calculators. So the AI, I think, is kind of the same tool. It's going to help these people to advance and do good. So I don't know where it's going to go. I know where my heart is.
Yeah.
I know what I'm trying to do. And I look at this tool, at this crypto as a tool of good, something that can really do something good for the world.
Well, I really appreciate that, because it's so important. I want to also recognize how important your leadership is, and how not only how much it's meant, but how much it will mean in the future. Because I've got a mentor. I have him on every Friday from 11 to 1 Central Time. His name's Steve. And one of the things that has really stuck with me of spending the last year with him is he makes a really good point. He says tools are neutral. right? So you got a gun on the table and nobody picks it up, it's just going to sit there, right?
Yeah.
Crypto is like that. And I think that, crypto isn't inherently good and it's not inherently bad. But leadership like you're providing and you have provided, it's mission critical to remind people that we are supposed to animate this tool for good. It won't animate itself. And I think that that's what I see in the community is that Richard's animating it for this trajectory: freedom of speech, freedom of movement, true DeFi, privacy, all of these things that are important. We're taking that. We got community, we got the ability to high five and shake hands and give hugs and come to funerals. But I'll tell you what, we have to constantly beat that drum that you have to make a conscious effort to animate this for good, because otherwise it is going to be snatched right out of your hands, because there are those that are lurking around who want to take advantage of you. And to have a guy that literally it's completely vertically aligned, and it's not just the stack of the technology, it's vertically aligned from the very ethos of Richard Hart all the way through the captain, all the way down to anyone that's watching this, right? It's like, that's why it's special. But we have to take responsibility for it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's why I'm working versus sitting on my laurels and just cashing out, I'm going to, keep doing, and until I'm replaced, until there's enough people taking this forward and it's running on its own. It needs all of us right now. It needs all of us.
Yep. No one's going to replace you.
We,
no one can. No, you're a special part. Honestly, you lit the fuse, man. The fuse was wet and you lit it. Well, let's transition to Austin, right? So November 4th, tell us about what these things look like. And for people who are either considering coming, or just give us a feel for what is it like? What is one of these days like? And why is it special?
Yeah. So we launched the Pulse Chain Tour before Pulse launched, and everybody's like, are you really going to do that before Pulse launches? What if it, doesn't launch and this and that? And I said, I'm confident that it is going to launch. I know Richard's going to put it out. I know he's weeks away from doing it. And then of course, within like a week or two of us launching and going out on our first, and he launched Pulse Chain. So it's again, it's that community come together. We have different events. So we have our meetup events, and then we have our seminars, and then we have our masterclass. Masterclass is when I get somebody like, we'll dig somebody up like Rags and see if we can get him to come and talk, and share his knowledge. Whether people want to listen to him or not isn't the point, but we bring them anyway. And so the masterclass will bring the smartest of the smartest hexagons and people like Rags to help us, give some content to the people that come to the event. We have meetups before. So the people come in, mingle, get to hang out with everybody, get to meet their streamers and whatnot. And then afterwards, same thing. We have a little meet and greet afterwards, say goodbye to everyone. And then there's the VIP event. So each event has VIP tickets. So if you really want to get in with the hexagons that are putting on the stream, with the people that are on the crew, or put on the event, then you come and have dinner with us at a private dinner, and we talk about our bags and talk about crypto and talk about the ecosystem and the movie that we made and that kind of stuff. And people get to kind of just get a little more insight information, and that's how our events go. And the same with the masterclass has the same. And just the meetups are just hexagons coming together. We don't really have a presentation or anything. We just have a big party. We did that last one over at CZ's house, and she throws the best parties. And so all the hexagons came out for that. But that's what they look like. And this Austin event, we're really looking forward to it being our biggest event. It looks like that's what's happening. We're excited about it. And we'll have a great presentation. I go through crypto from soup to nuts, from the beginning to Bitcoin, to Ethereum, to the concepts that they proved, all the way into Hex, Pulse Chain, and Pulse X. And then, and then we have a question and answer afterwards, and just, lay it all out there from, somebody's perspective who actually watched Hex be birthed. I followed Richard from when he first said he was going to do this. When he first called the top of Bitcoin and said, everything's over. And then after he said everything's over, he said, well, I'm going to do something. So I continued to watch him and stuck with him. And then we were the ones who discovered what hex was, discarded the FUD and held on to all the stuff that he was really showing us, learned from him. So all of our old streams, you can almost watch the history of hex unfold by going and watching our old streams. And that's what we go over on the Pulse Chain Tour, is that history and how it was built, and to instill confidence in people that, hey, there's a reason why we're standing here. This is something that we figured out, learned, and watched develop, and now it's 4 years old. It's 4 years old. It's not going anywhere. It's still doing what it's supposed to have been doing. It's been flawless. And we're just here to be that testament, to show people, yes, look,
yeah,
here it is, and it's getting better.
Well, and it's unique to this community. I don't know if the other communities are having these type of events and going to this length. Now, you mentioned Hexicans. I would assume that the Pulsecan, Pulsexican crew is welcome as well. How do people find out more about this, the meetups and those type of things, and where do people go, and how can they be a part of this big event in Austin?
So you go to pulsechaintour.com. That's simple. And the tickets are right there. You'll see the Austin event right on the front page. You click on it and you'll get the tickets you want. You can did you get a discount code? Maybe SJ will put my discount code in it. I think it's CP. Is it Captain 10? CPT 10? I hope so. I should know my own discount code. It'll end up in the chat here in a second, and you put the code in and you get a discount on the tickets if you need a little help there. If the bear market's got you beaten down, but yeah, you go into Pulse Chain Tour. There it is. Oh, Captain. I'm sorry. CAP. I'm back in the hood. CPT. No, it's Captain. Yeah, Captain is the code. Thank you, SJ. And I got to give credit to my team. We've got Black Hexican. She is the manager of all managers. She has done just amazing work with this tour. If you guys don't know, she was the one who put the Crypto Swabot guys out on the road and managed their tour. When I wanted to do this, I called her for some advice, and then I said, would you be interested in helping? And she said, I thought you'd never ask. So she took the bull by the horns, and she's my boss. I lost that position as soon as she came on board. So
she's
she
fantastic,
runs the show and takes care of everything. And then, of course, we've got the lovely wild SJ out there, driving the tour bus around on her own, just braving the whole country, with a broken down bus that, barely makes it from location to location. But every time she does, she calls a Hexican, and it's like, hey, my cousin's, just right down the road from you here, and he's a diesel mechanic, and they'll get a hose changed, or we'll get the brakes done, or we'll get, and her and her cat are out there just, cruising the country, and she'll get to a location, scout it out, put flyers up and stickers, and meet and onboard people before we even get there. We get there and she's got, 2, 3, 4 people that are getting into Hex and coming to the seminar, and she's just doing amazing work out there herself. So my hat's off to Wild SJ. Guys, go check out her YouTube channel. She does all of Richard's his sci-fi stuff, and she gets in there and does her own longevity streams, and yeah, she's a gem in the community.
A gem is a great way, a sparkly gem. My understanding is there's not that many tickets left. If you're planning on being there, you need to get your ticket ASAP. Right, we're about a week out, right, because it's going to be the Saturday event on the 4th. Great space at the JW Marriott there in Austin, a really good venue. And so I'm going to be there. I know that KG's going to be there. Obviously the Captain's going to be there. Wild SJ's going to be there. Black Hexican's going to be there. There's all sorts of folks. And I'm excited. I want to shake your hand, Captain. I want to shake everybody else's hand, high five them. I'm really looking forward to that time. And I just want to say thank you to you directly. One, for you're sacrificing your time, your family time. These aren't like you're going out on a Wednesday. This is a Saturday event. You've been a huge part of the movie, a part of all of this stuff from the beginning. And I just want to say it's got to feel good that we're seeing a little bit of a pump. What, heck's up 300%, a 3x in a week or so.
Yeah.
How are you feeling now after going through all of this difficulty for 4 years?
You know, I'm just a little excited because when Hex goes, it goes, man. It leaves people in the dust. I mean, this thing launches like a rocket when it goes, and we ain't seen nothing yet. Hex's best days haven't shown up yet. The biggest whales haven't got into Hex. We've got so much room on this. Look, everybody needs to understand Bitcoin did 6 million X. Hex is better than Bitcoin. And we've only done a 10,000X, and now we're seeing at the bottom of a 90% dip in a bear market. Do you know how high this coin can go? And go ahead and go look at how many times Richard Hart has said that. He doesn't say it about Pulse. He doesn't say it about Pulse X. He's only said that about Hex. You guys don't understand and know how high this crypto can go. And now that he's put it on Pulse Chain, it's got tracks to run on, baby.
Yeah. Well, back in, people were just dying and salivating over our penny Hex. That's where it's at right now. Right?
Yeah.
And I love the penny just because the math is easy. To me, there's no doubt that we're going to, in my opinion, in this next bull run, at minimum $1. Some people say 10. But if you think about what it looks like just to go back to the all-time high is an astronomical thing. And so to me, there's not a lot of people that are paying attention to crypto like we are. Hey, folks, this is your opportunity. And it's not just like you're alone picking some new thing. This is tried and true, complete uptime. I'm super excited about what the future, because when regular people have money, RG, what do you think? When these good people have an abundance of resources, what do you think the implications of that are for the world?
Well, once crypto starts pumping and people start FOMOing in, it's going to be a matter of weeks when we're going to see all-time highs. It's going to happen like that. It'll be a matter of weeks. We'll hit all-time highs again, and then it's just going to start going. Yeah. Imagine if they do bring just 6 trillion. That's the low ball number I'm hearing, 6 trillion coming into this market, and that's double where we were when we were at 56 cents.
Yeah.
Now anything over that is going to be a bonus, and the markets are continuing to move with each other. When Bitcoin started moving, when we started seeing more financial energy coming into this space, Hex started pumping. Money goes where it's treated best.
That's right. That's right.
And it's going to be treated real well over here on Pulse Chain and Hex.
And I think that Academaciated gets the last stream. He says this is the just for men stream, and that means on so many different levels that works. This is sponsored by Metamucil. But RG, thank you so much for coming on to the Pulse today. I'm super excited about visiting with you here on next Saturday on the 4th. Folks, make sure you get out to the Pulse tour. And dude, you're a gem yourself, man. Thanks so much for taking your time and all the work that you've done over the years.
And I feel the same way about you. You are salt of the earth, my man. You are salt of the earth.
Hey, we're going to win together, right?
You got it. We're going to win together.
Thanks, Captain.
All right, my man.
All right. Take care, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, folks. Oh, Captain, my Captain. You remember that? Remember that from Dead Poet Society? It is so great to have this kind of leadership, right? You got to have people. And you know what? It's funny. You go anywhere new and you look around and you see, the speed of the leader, the speed of the team. And to see someone like the captain, right? And he's just continuing to do it. It's not like he's like, well, I'll just take some time off. No, he's doubling down on Saturdays across the country. He's investing a lot of time, energy, effort. And folks, at minimum, come and shake his hand. Be a part of this. Bring a friend. Folks, this is a special time. And it's, I was shilling things when they were 42 cents. I just can't believe the opportunity that's sitting in front of us. And so, folks, congratulations. You have made it this far. Hang on. Take care of yourself, folks. And do not mess with Texas. Take care, everybody.